Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
A single best idea. I want to give you a window into how we make the sausage here. We have wonderful guests. We have guests we aspire to. My relationship with Ricardo Hausmann of Harvard goes back at least 18 years. Quite frankly, it may be a full 2 decades. He is definitive on South America. His academics is profound, including with Barry Eichengreen of Berkeley and the phrase original sin. But far more, Ricardo Hausmann is a voice of the collapse of Venezuela. We efforted him yesterday. That's fancy TV and radio people talk. We efforted him yesterday, and he turned us down. He turned us down because he was writing a wonderful, blistering essay for The Economist magazine. We were thrilled to have Professor Hausmann with us today. Ricardo Hausmann on a delusional President Trump.
If he thinks that right now he's going to recover oil production because he's going to tell U.S. major companies to go out and part with billions of dollars in Venezuela in the context of an illegitimate government because Maduro stole an election, but this woman who's now president of Venezuela, she didn't even pretend to win an election. She was appointed by a guy who stole an election.
Ricardo Hausmann, really an extraordinary interview, and we really thank him for describing his family's path from a war-torn Germany of 1945 to Venezuela. Of course, so much part of the South American story from Venezuela down to Argentina. A great student of this, arguably the student of it, is Shannon O'Neill. She's created a cottage industry at the Council on Foreign Relations of study of so much of what I ignore in Latin America. We were honored to have her in studio today. Shannon O'Neill, the Council on Foreign Relations.
I think there's sort of 2 scenarios. Okay. One is that, as you say, not a lot changes. We have a new leadership head, but not a regime change. Lots of the other pieces stay in place as they are. Now, oil and others, there may be U.S. players who come in, though it's still kind of a shaky market and the infrastructure is very weak after years and years of sort of degradation. So one is sort of, as you say, stability continuing, new figurehead, but not a lot of change. The other is that, the current president, Delcy Rodriguez, she isn't able to keep all of these forces, right? The various different groups with guns together, and we get sort of a fragmentation, disintegration.
Right. I really want to emphasize, Shannon O'Neill, Council on Foreign Relations. We're doing our work here to bring it to you each and every morning, worldwide, the evening on the Pacific Rim, and of course over to India. But far more, there is a Bloomberg effort to do more than just the news. We do that. We have our acclaimed headlines. When they're important, they're what we call a red sticky. They're bright red on the terminal. They go out all over the zeitgeist. People not stealing them, but taking them and advancing the news story, which we appreciate. But far more the work. Our team in Latin America, particularly out of Brasilia, out of Mexico City, have done tireless work the last 3 days to provide context on this unfolding drama. On podcasts, we're at Apple Music, of course out on Spotify, on YouTube podcasts at Single Best Idea.